Every single day, you perform a miracle without even thinking about it. You flip a switch, light floods your room, you charge your phone, your refrigerator hums to life. But stop for a moment and ask yourself, where does this invisible force come from? And how did humanity harness the raw power of the universe itself? This is the story of electricity, not just the science, but the obsession, the rivalry, and the revolution that turned lightning into civilization. Our story doesn't begin in a laboratory with test tubes and circuits. It begins over 2,600 years ago in ancient Greece, where a man named Thales of Miletus noticed something extraordinary. When he rubbed a piece of amber with fur, something invisible happens. Small pieces of straw and chaff were drawn toward the amber without being touched. It was as if the amber possessed a hidden life force, an invisible hand reaching out to pull objects toward it. Thales had no name for what he discovered. He called it electron, the Greek word for amber. He didn't understand the why. Nobody did. But he had witnessed something that would eventually light up the entire world. For nearly 2,000 years, this phenomenon remained a curiosity. A mystery existed at the edges of human understanding, waiting for someone brave enough to truly investigate it. The 1600s arrived. The Renaissance was in full bloom. Scientists were questioning everything: the earth, the heavens, the very nature of matter itself. And among them was William Gilbert, an English physician with an unusual obsession. Gilbert didn't just rub amber, he rubbed everything: glass, sulfur, wax, anything he could find. And he discovered that many materials, when rubbed, produced the same mysterious, attractive force. In 1600, Gilbert gave this force a proper scientific name: electricity, derived from electron. For the first time, scientists understood this wasn't just a property of amber. This was something fundamental, something about the nature of matter itself. But understanding its name was one thing. Understanding its power was another entirely. By the 1700s, scientists began to take electricity seriously. Stephen Gray discovered that electricity could be transmitted passed along wires and threads. Others noticed electricity could create sparks, could heat and materials, could even cause shocks that hurt when touched. Electricity was no longer a curiosity. It was becoming dangerous, and that's when one of history's most famous experimenters stepped into the storm. In 1752, during a violent thunderstorm in Philadelphia, Benjamin Franklin did something that should have gotten him killed. He flew a kite, a simple kite made of wood, paper, directly into the storm clouds, and then he waited. As lightning crackled across the sky, something remarkable happened. The kite's string began to conduct electricity. Sparks jumped from the metal key attached to the string. Franklin had done the unthinkable. He had caught lightning. Their single experiment answered one of humanity's greatest questions. Is lighting the same as the electricity we make in our laboratories? The answer was yes. The spectacular, terrifying power that had awed civilizations for millennia, that had inspired myths, religion, was the exact same invisible force that could be created by rubbing amber with fur. Electricity wasn't supernatural, it was natural. And if it could be captured and studied, perhaps it could be controlled. Franklin's discovery changed everything. Scientists now knew electricity was real, measurable, and potentially harnessable. But there was still one problem: how do you create a steady, continuous flow of electricity? You can't fly a kite every time you need light. Fast forward to 1800, an Italian physicist named Alessandro Volta solved the puzzle that had stumped scientists for decades. Volta discovered that if you stack alternating disks of zinc and copper, separated by cardboard, soaked in salt water or acid, something extraordinary happens. Continuous electrical current flows. For the first time in human history, we had created a reliable, repeatable source of electricity. Volta had invented the first true battery, the Voltaic Pile. It wasn't powerful or efficient by today's standards, but it changed everything. Scientists could now study electricity without relying on friction or storm clouds. They could experiment, they could innovate, they could understand. In fact, we honor Volta so deeply that we named the unit of electrical pressure after him, the volt. Every time someone mentions voltage, they speth with Volta's battery in hand. The door to the modern world was opened, and what came next was revolution.